Hey guys, welcome to the Roofing Resource Channel. I'm Hugh, your host, and today I got Brinson Corn, our sales manager here at Linta Roofing, and today we're going to be talking about dimensional decking and just kind of what homeowners should be looking at as far as if they have it, what to do if they have it as far as a new replacement and everything. So we'll just jump right into it. So first thing I want to ask you to start off is what exactly is dimensional lumber roof decking and how is it different from modern decking?
That's a great question, Hugh. So with older homes, back in the 70s, 80s, it was common practice to the type of decking they used, instead of being, sheets of OSB or sheets of plywood, it was actually dimensional lumber. Typically it would be like a 1x4 or a 1x6, 1x8. So it would be individual planks rather than the big 4-foot by 8-foot sheets that you'll see today in more modern homes.
Okay.
Yep.
And as far as us moving into like plywood instead of keeping up with dimensional decking, why would you say is that like an industry move that's been made?
Yeah, I would say that over time, with older homes, after several roofs being replaced, there's a lot of wear and tear that can happen with the dimensional decking. What I mean by that is pre-existing nail holes, the warping just from thermal expansion, contraction. It gets very hot in an attic. It gets very cold in an attic. So when the dimensional decking is first put on, there's little to no gaps. The wood is pristine. Over time, 40, 50 years later, the gaps can be more apparent. You could have the knots that are in the wood can actually fall out, leaving a hole about the size of a golf ball in the decking. Just a lot of issues that could come whenever you shingle over that. You're actually not shingling into anything, right? Why it's also an issue is because the shingle manufacturers, as well as code requirements, require shingles to be nailed into a continuous surface, right? So if you've got those gaps, if you've got those holes and splinters all over the place, there's no continuous surface for the nails to be driven into.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, kind of going into our next one, if homeowner, you're going in and inspecting and they have that lumber decking and everything, what kind of issues do you see as far as a roof replacement going, that dimensional decking can offer?
Yeah, absolutely. With us being here in business for 40 years, we've seen it all. We've learned from our mistakes. We've learned best practices. A perfectly installed roof, or if the shingles are installed perfectly, there can still be premature issues if going into the decking that's got the warps in it, or the cracks, or the gaps, right? So best practice, what we always recommend, Hugh, is if we're aware of that dimensional decking, now we will be aware of it because we always try to do an attic inspection when possible, right? Just to confirm the decking type. If you do, let's say it's your home, if you've got that dimensional decking, what we will do is we'll actually put like 7/16 OSB, some type of OSB or plywood, the big sheets over the top of the existing, just so it provides that continuous surface to be nailed into.
And as it being like, an older decking and everything, around like what age of houses do you typically see dimensional decking in?
Yeah, don't quote me on this. Actually, what I've seen is specifically here in North Myrtle Beach, there's actually parts of town, like for example, Cherry Grove. For some reason, I guess the builders in that area at that time was more common practice for them to use the dimensional decking. But typically we say, hey, the older the house, the more likely it is to have your tongue and groove is an industry term that's used, or dimensional decking as the decking. Yeah.
Okay, so someone, in the Cherry Grove area or just Myrtle Beach area in general that has a typical, like maybe a little older of a house and everything, how can they identify, if they have it or not? What's the best way for them to be able to look and see if they have dimensional decking?
The easiest way is going to be just stick your head up in the attic, right? So now keep in mind too that a lot of the homes that are older have additions that were put on, so you definitely want to get in the attic and just look at all parts of the house to make sure that you're looking at any additions that were added on at a later time, things like that. But simply just sticking your head up in the attic, looking up, you can see the underside of the roof decking where the nails are coming through. You're going to be able to tell, hey, do I have 4-inch pieces that are just staggered all on top of each other, that line up, or do I have the big 4 foot by 8 foot sheets?
Okay,
Yep.
got you.
Absolutely.
Now, as a homeowner that, is needing a roof replacement, and now they've discovered that they do have this dimensional decking, as far as, that discovery and everything, what does that look like for a replacement? What happens next with that dimensional decking? Is it something that needs to be taken off or redone or anything like that?
Great question. So a couple of different options, right? So you can have them replaced altogether, meaning removing the old decking and putting new. However, a lot of times that is unnecessary, a lot more labor intensive, which is going to be more expensive. Best practice, and what we always recommend, is just putting the sheets, whether that be OSB or plywood, over the existing, right? So it provides for more support, and again, is going to get all the benefits you need out of it without reconstructing the entire system.
No, I get that, especially, going into like a re-roof and everything, I can understand, someone might think that, that's going to be extra cost towards labor or something like that if they got to get it removed and everything. So I guess, it's pretty beneficial.
Yeah, absolutely. On average, we'll see, a 2,000 square foot house, typically their roof is probably going to be about 3,000 square foot. That additional cost is going to be about $4,000 to $5,000 additional. However, if they don't do this, the roof, you're going to have problems prematurely, very, very early on. So again, the roof's just not going to last as long. You're going to have continuous leaks over the years, pop up randomly. You're going to get tired of it, and eventually you're going to have to replace your roof very, very prematurely, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the old saying, pay $4,000 or $5,000 now to do it right, because it's going to save you much, much, much more than that over the life of the roof.
Okay. And in the area, just the houses that you've seen as far as dimensional decking that we have done redecking for and everything, what percentage of older homes do you see need a lot of that additional redecking?
It's really hard to say.
Yeah.
Again, depending on where you are, as far as like Cherry Grove is a local community here in South Carolina, in North Myrtle Beach. Almost always, if the house was built prior to the 80s, is going to have, and you're in that area, is going to have dimensional decking, right? So best practice, if you're in the market to get your roof replaced, is always to have your attic inspected and make sure that the decking type is confirmed. And then if you've got a roofing contractor that's out there, ask them questions about it, right? Ask them, hey, what type of decking do I have? What happens if we find out I do have dimensional decking, right? Are you just going to shingle over it, or what is the additional cost? If not, because a lot of companies, unfortunately, the sales reps that they send out are just trying to get the sale and on to the next one, right? So they're not doing the due diligence. They're like, hey, don't worry about it. We'll just go ahead. We'll take care. We'll just shingle over. You're not going to have any issues.
Yeah. Now with dimensional decking, are there roofing contractors out there that if they see that, they may not even touch it or not even want to handle? Do you see it as maybe a risk to install like a new roof on dimensional decking?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've actually made a company policy that we will not put shingles over dimensional decking without adding sheets of decking. And the reason being for that, with us being here for 40 years, we've seen, shingles that we've installed shingles over dimensional decking installed flawlessly, and then just 3-4 years later, there'd be a random leak here, random leak there, nothing was done improperly. However, that needed next step of, putting continuous decking over the top was not done. Whether that be we just didn't know what we didn't know. We've learned a lot over the last 40 years. So we've just seen that us personally, we will not install over dimensional decking unless we add plywood or OSB over the top.
Yeah, no.
Just because you are going to have issues, you are going to run into headaches, and there's going to be a lot of unnecessary pain in the near future from an easy step that could be addressed while it's getting done in the first place. Now, on the flip side of that, Hugh, if I go out, because we see this all the time, we'll quote for the homeowner that additional to put the OSB sheets over the top. If they're getting 5 estimates, 2 or 3 of the companies won't even bring it up as if they even, one, didn't know about it, or they don't want to have the additional conversation of, hey, it's going to be more if you're to do this, right? So a lot of sales reps will avoid it altogether Because honestly, they're not worried about what your roof's going to be doing 3, 4, 5 years from now. They don't even know if they're going to be in business, frankly.
Yeah.
Right? We know we're going to be here to see this roof last. You know, we've been here the last 20. We're going to be here the next 20. So we always want to do work that we stand behind. And shingling over dimensional decking is a nightmare problem waiting to happen. So we're just not willing to do that.
Oof. Yeah, I get that. Now, just in your opinion, you know, what's the single most important advice you'd give to a homeowner who is suspecting that they do have dimensional decking?
Double check.
Yeah.
Double check. Ask really good questions to your contractor. If they're a contractor that has been around for a while, they've seen these issues. They're probably in the same boat that we are. They know of the headaches and the heartaches that are going to come from it down the road. So yeah, that's what I'd say. Just double check and ask really good questions to your contractor. 1, what did you see? 2, what happens in the scenario that we do have to address the decking? And 3, what is the cost? Right? They should have a preset cost just so you know as a homeowner from a budgeting standpoint, hey, this is something that may be a possibility. And if it is, this is how much I need to have budgeted for it, right? A lot of times we want to avoid a number on a napkin is one, like a saying that we joke around all the time, right? You want to know any unforeseen that could come up. It's best as a homeowner to know that up front just so there's no surprises.
Yep. Well, that's a wrap on today's episode on dimensional decking. Thank you again, Brinson, for coming by. If you guys have any more questions, please leave them in the comments below. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with anyone, and see you next time.
Cool.